wasallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. The topic I was asked to speak about this evening was Muslim political and economic progress. This topic is a somewhat academic topic which addresses issues that you and I can do very little about. This is reality. And as I told the organizers, Islam always looks for the benefit. Where is the benefit? So if we're going to utilize our energies to talk about Muslim progress in the political and economic sphere, then it should be in such a way that we can apply it in our lives. So we will not talk about global politics, which is an extension of the colonial era, when our countries were physically colonized, attacked, overthrown. The Muslim Ummah was divided up into bits and pieces. Each piece was given a flag and a national anthem and told you should be proud about this. And the national anthem was according to British tradition, German, Dutch, etc. That's history. But we're still living that history. Till today, we still continue to live the realities of that era. Because progress, which is the key word in the whole title, Muslim political and economic progress. Progress can only happen if there is real change. If we keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, we will never progress. This is called obsessive behavior by the psychiatrists, psychologists. You keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And of course, if you do the same thing, you'll get the same results. That's common sense. But when we continue to exercise our faculties, our means to bring about change, but that change does not have at its core a change, we keep doing the same thing, we're not going to go anywhere. The colonial rulers continue to rule, but in different costumes, using different names. But we're still attacked. What is Afghanistan, Iraq, all these countries? But attacked. What is Egypt? But attacked. Libya. So we're still under attack. It really hasn't changed. It just has taken a different form. So how are we going to progress? Allah gave us the formula 1,400 years ago, when he said, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change themselves. Until they change what is within themselves. Until they change their circumstance, the circumstances of their lives. And this is where we have relevance. Because each and every one of us has a need to change himself or herself. And if each one of us engages in that change, then as a community, change can come about. Real change. Not superficial change. You know, the superficial change, when people try to change the political structure or change the economic circumstances, but the essence of change has not taken place. One of the experiments which I did over the past year and a half, traveling from one end of the Muslim Ummah, Gambia, West Africa, to Mindanao, Philippines, to the other, Guyana, South America, to Dearborn, Michigan, US. When I addressed crowds, audiences of Muslim youth, young people, who had graduated from Muslim schools. In Pakistan, I spoke to students in second year medicine from Rif'a University, one of the best known top 10 universities of Pakistan, known as an exemplary Islamic university or Islamized university. And I visited also the College of Engineering. Medicine was mainly females. Engineering was mainly males. And I asked them the same question. This same question which I asked in PICC a few days ago. PICC. How many of you can raise his or her hand and swear by Allah, Wallahi, I have never cheated on any test or examination? See, you all laugh. You know what the results are. Yeah. And sure enough, only one or two hands would rise. Only one or two hands will rise. So I said to the students in Rif'a, I said to the people and students there in PICC and Guyana, I said, everywhere I go, people complain about the current political, economic circumstance of the country as being corrupted. Corrupt from top to bottom. Money disappearing from the treasury and all this, we all know it. It happens there in Nigeria, they had billions going, you have your share here and it's all over the place, Muslims, we complain about it everywhere we go. It's the same complaint, corruption. The UN has a listing, of the top 100 most corrupt countries. The top 10 are filled by Muslim countries. So I said to them, how are we going to change? How are we going to achieve progress? If we remove those people that are in place that we complain about now, and we put you in their place, is it going to be any different? No, it's going to be more of the same. Maybe you might not do it as obviously, but it's business as usual. And what I said then, and I say to you now, is that this ummah will not change until we find a time when I can ask that question and everybody will raise their hand. Only a few will have their hands down. When we have those hands raised, the mass, we now have the Sahaba revisited. Because what was the difference between the Sahaba and ourselves? They're the same human beings like us. But they lived Islam. They followed the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you ask them that question, there would not be a single hand down. That's the difference. Because it's only with a generation like that that you can change the world as they did. Until we achieve that, then our discussions and talks about change and political this and that, and it's just what we call an exercise in futility. We're going nowhere. We're just going around in a circle. That is the reality. Yes, we can make economic arrangements such that we benefit ourselves more, etc. But real change, has real change taken place? No. Real change won't take place. It won't take place until we embrace Islam in its entirety. As Allah said, "Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa." Enter into Islam completely. Don't have one foot out and one foot in. When it's convenient, you work with the foot that's in. When it's not, you work with the foot that's out. No. This is not Islam. This is your version, his version, her version, my version, but not Islam in reality. So progress, whether in the political, economic, or social field, cannot take place until there is that fundamental change from the Islamic perspective. As was mentioned in our introduction, where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, "Talabul ilmi farida ala kulli Muslim." Seeking knowledge is obligatory on every Muslim. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ addressed. He made it a religious obligation. Why? Because it was the basis for change. Every generation has the ability to change its circumstance when it follows the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As Allah told us, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. There is in the Messenger of Allah for us the best of examples. So if we are able to bring that back into our lives, then regardless of what walk of life we are engaged in, we will be about change. Imagine a time 1,000 plus years ago when traders coming from Hadramaut reached the shores of Indonesia. before it was divided into Singapore and Malaysia and to those shores. They had been coming for centuries, trading. Ships were carried on to China, traded in China, came back, traded in Indonesia, and went back to Arabia. 1 year, when the traders came, the people of this land saw such a remarkable change that they were amazed. Now, business people, and as I'm told, most of you are business people here, without meaning to hurt your feelings, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "At-tujjar humul fujjar." The business people are the most corrupt. As I said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. This is what Rasulullah ﷺ said. Yeah? The business people are the most corrupt. Why? Because the best businessman is the one who is able to sell a product which is inferior but getting superior income from that. He tricks his customers into thinking that they're getting a good, excellent, and he may swear by all, wallah, it's really good, excellent, but it's not. It's hidden. There are defects. He's cheating them. As they teach you in marketing, where they have now honed this art, you know, the best salesman, businessman, is the one who is able to sell snowballs to the Eskimos, sand to the desert Arabs. This is the best salesman. How do you do that? You have to deceive them. And that's what much of business is about. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ had said that the rich will enter paradise 500 years after the poor. I know a lot of people say to me, or business people, why is that? Why is that? Why do the poor people get to get ahead of us 500 years? This is why. It's the reality. So when those ships came that year, the year of change, and the traders explained to their customers where the defects were in their goods, advising them if they wanted the top quality, they could get it from the other trader. He's got high quality. Mine is low quality. You know, I'm not going to try to sell it to you at that price. I'm selling to you what its real value is. They were amazed. The people here were amazed. Well, why would you want to do that? You know, all these years you've been tricking us and we're trying to trick you, and you know, it's a back and forth mutual tricking. And then all of a sudden now you're going to lose all those profits by telling us what's wrong with your products. I said, yeah, this is our religion. What? Your religion? It's your religion that makes you do this? I said, yeah. Tell us about this religion. And the rest is history. The rest is history. That day was the change, the day of change. When they had changed as business people, then that change impacted on the people. So it's the same situation. today. If you as business people decide to implement Islam, regardless of the financial loss involved, there would be real change here. That takes courage, but there would be real change here. So this is what we have to look at. This is what we have to address. The real change that can happen internally here in Malaysia, which could change the whole playing field. All the Chinese they're the top business people. If they see Muslim business people trading fairly, and the word will spread. Of course, initially there will be financial loss, etc. But eventually you will be known as Al-Amin. And when you're known as Al-Amin, you will get customers who will be with you till they die, because they trust you. You are fair, you are honest. They will trust you. And the Chinese will be amazed. Some of them will start to think, hey, yeah, we're making all these profits, but our lives are not really that good. What made these people do this? That is the real change. And that is what is missing. So, when we talk about progress, we talk about Islam. Coming back to Islam. On all levels, whether it is in the business field, knowing what is right and wrong Islamically in our business, to develop an honest approach to business, not the way I find so many business people when I travel around the world. I give lectures, and Muslims tend to be the business people. At the end of the lecture, or maybe sometimes even during the lecture, somebody will ask, is it allowed for us to cheat our non-Muslim customers? His question. I said, what do you mean by that? If they come in, we know they're non-Muslims, we raise the price. We don't do it to Muslims. But to non-Muslims, we raise the price. I said, why would you want to do that? I said, well, they're going to hell anyway. Better we take their money, give zakah, and benefit the ummah. This is our way of thinking. It's sad. But can we change anything with that way of thinking? No. We will remain as we are. So we need to go back to Islam and bring it into our lives on all levels, from all perspectives. Not just memorizing facts and figures, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, 5 pillars of Islam, 6 pillars of Iman, so on, so on, so we know all these. Because we all learned them. But really understanding what are the goals behind the pillars of Islam. What were they really meant to do? Because so many times, living in the Gulf, I lived most of my life in Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Qatar. And speaking with non-Muslims, I hear them say to me so many times, you know, I admire you people praying 5 times a day. It's like it's a very nice thing. But my manager, and he prays, right when the time for prayer comes, he's there, the first one in the mosque. But he cheats us. He doesn't give us our wages on time. You know, he's decreasing, he's taking things from it and forcing us to do overtime and not paying us for it, and all kinds of things. We came with one contract, and when I came here, he tore up the contract and made another contract for us. Yeah. So what's the value of that prayer that they're doing? I said to him, I agree with you. That prayer has no value. It has no value. It is just a ritual which will not change anything or change anybody. Allah said about that ritual, Inna as-salat tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salah prevents evil speech and evil deeds. So if it doesn't prevent evil speech and evil deeds, then we have to say it's not real salah. It's not the salah which was prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor the salah which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made and told us, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, pray as you saw me pray. That's the reality. We are making a different prayer. We're fasting a different fast. When we look at our fasting for the most part for us is really what? Feasting. Both of them begin with F, right? Fasting, feasting. But it's a world apart. When Ramadan comes along, all the special foods are all cooked up for the night, you know, to really go for it at night. It's a wonderful party. But what happened to fasting? It got lost in all the feasting. That's reality. So same thing, the fast doesn't have any impact on us. Doesn't change us. Doesn't make us any more self-restrained. We're the same as we were. Every year we do the fast, we start Ramadan, the same as we were the year before. So what are we doing? Isn't that doing the same thing, expecting different results, and we keep getting the same results? Is there something wrong? And so on and so forth. How we deal with our Islam. We need to go back to know it and to understand it. For example, we were having lunch today with some of the members of the Muslim League. And I was invited to a wedding. They said, come and see how the Muslim wedding is. The Indian Muslim wedding. I said, actually, I have 6 grandchildren who are half Indian. Okay, I've been to a few weddings already, Indian weddings. And I said, what stood out in my mind, which I had to speak to my Indian in-laws about, was the tali. You know the tali? When I went and looked in the dictionary for what a tali is, they say it's a necklace which a Hindu groom ties around the neck of his bride. Hindu groom ties around the neck of his bride. Why? To ward off evil. It is an amulet to prevent the evil eye and other evil things. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say about wearing amulets? He said, whoever wears an amulet has committed shirk. Whoever wears an amulet has committed shirk. This is not something light. This is something very serious. Wedding after wedding, that tali is worn. Muslim grooms are tying it around the necks of Muslim brides. Shirk. Throughout the community. So when are we going to change? When are we going to change? And whilst we were eating our lunch, I observed another practice which has become a norm today. We were eating with our hands, right? So when the time came to take a drink, the brothers took the glass in their right hand, in their left hand, put their right hand underneath and started to drink. I said, wait, brothers, hold on. Hold on here. Hold on. It has become so much of a practice and a habit that one of the brothers, he went and washed his hands, came back to the table, and he wanted to drink. He still picked it up with the left hand and put the right hand underneath. So much of a habit that drinking with the left is a norm. But Rasulullah ﷺ said, do not drink with your left. Clear. And we openly disobey him. So it's no surprise when the Prophet ﷺ had said, Kullu ummati yadkhulun al-jannah, all of my nation is going to enter paradise. Everybody's good with that one, right? Yeah, all Muslims are going to paradise. He said, Illa man aba. He didn't stop there. Except for those who refuse. And of course the companions asked him, who would refuse to go to paradise? And he said, Man ata'ani dakhal al-jannah. Whoever obeys me will enter paradise. Wa man asani faqad aba. And whoever disobeys me has refused. And this is something so basic. We're not talking about rocket science here. We're talking about something so basic. We eat and we drink 3 times a day. Can't we get it right? If we're not getting that right, something so basic as this, what is the hope for change? Progress, what is the hope? Where is the hope? Can you imagine a Sahabi drinking with his left hand? It's unthinkable. Unthinkable. But now for us it's a norm. And it's not just here, it's all over. I met it all over the world. And you know who began it? Shaitan. This is the sunnah of shaitan. Yeah, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, do not drink with your left hand because Satan drinks with his left. It is the sunnah of shaitan. So Satan's sunnah has become the norm for the mass of Muslims. 1 million, 1 billion, 1.7 billion Muslims across the world. Happily following the sunnah of Satan. So when do we change? When does progress kick in? It's not going to happen until we take this deen seriously. Till we take Islam as a way of life. Not rituals and customs and traditions that our foreparents did, our community does. Until we get past those rituals and we take on Islam as that way of life about which we speak all the time. But it's not real. It's just words. Until we take it on seriously, there will be no real progress. There will be no real change. Alhamdulillah, there is an awakening taking place in different parts of the Muslim Ummah. This is real. In spite of our situation, in spite of our ignorance, clinging on to false traditions and customs, etc., in spite of all of that, there is an awakening. Muslims are awakening. But the forces that oppose Islam are working harder and harder, becoming more and more vicious to try to stop this awakening. But if we don't grab on to the Quran and the Sunnah with our molars, the way the Prophet ﷺ described, bite onto it with your molars, that's your back teeth. Don't let it go. Unless we do that, then the awakening will be sabotaged. It will not bring about change. So, this evening, my brothers and sisters, I invite you to progress for the Ummah through real change. That real change begins with each and every one of us learning properly what is Islam and living Islam, sharing it with our children, our family members, our neighbors, our network of friends, making it real in our lives, correcting all of these false practices that have accumulated in our traditions, which have nothing to do with Islam. We need to clear those out. And that is something within our power. We can do it. That is reality. We can do it. And that's what Allah is going to ask us about. He's going to ask us about what we could do and didn't do. Not about what we couldn't do, change the world order. He'll ask us about what we could do and we didn't do. So let us work together. The League has those intentions, has those goals, has that vision of changing the society, the Muslim society. My university, the Islamic Online University, its motto is changing the nation through education. So we have made our courses accessible. The actual student body is not, as was mentioned in the introduction, it is 250,000 students. 250,000 students from 228 different countries in the world. And of the 250,000, because I know you're businessmen, so you made a quick calculation. This guy must be a multimillionaire. Of the 250,000 students, 245,000 of them study for free. That's the reality. It is making that knowledge accessible to the Ummah, to be a part of that process of change. Only people who pay fees, and it's only registration fees, which are minimal, very, very low, are the students doing bachelor degrees, where we have to pay teachers, we have to pay, tutorial assistants, etc., etc. But for the mass, it's free, absolutely free, no hidden costs at all. So you all, it's made for you. All of you go on the internet. Is there anybody here who has never been on the internet? Put your hand up. No. You've all been on the internet. Now the issue is what you're going on the internet for. This is the point. You know, this is where the change has to take place. Go on the internet for what will benefit you. That's what the Prophet ﷺ advised Mu'adh ibn Jabal. To be eager and to be keen on doing what benefits you. What doesn't benefit you, leave it. Avoid it. To the minimum, go on the internet and register and start to learn your deen at no cost. You put that time in, it's blessed. That's blessings entering into your life. Blessings which will help you as a business person, guide you in your business, as a student, to guide you in your studies, as a housewife, guide you in your home, as a son and a daughter, guide you to the rights of your parents, your duties towards each other, etc. We hope, inshallah, that you utilize the brochures which have been circulated and go to our website, www.iou.edu.gm. Barakallahu fikum. That is what I wanted to share with you this evening. For those of you who are expecting a political talk, sorry to disappoint you, but I hope for the rest of you, you learned something. Your hearts were touched. Your eyes had some tears. Your hearts softened. And we will see from this a change, inshallah. If there are any questions you'd like to ask, we say we'll give you a few minutes for questions. You're welcome.
Any questions? Use the mic.
Just go ahead, I can hear you.
It's okay.
Save time, just go ahead.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
It's okay, it's okay.
It's on, actually, but just put it, you have to put it on top of your mouth.
Just now, Sheikh, you are talking about the amulets, right?
About?
Amulets.
Amulets, yes.
I've seen that most of us, the Indian Muslim society, they have one form or the other kind of amulets where they hang in front of the restaurant, in the in the place where they keep the money, and also in the purse and so on. And even some of them recite Quran on it, and they say that this will protect you from evil or whatever. And I've seen there's a Quranic verses in it, with several numbers in it. And they say there's nothing wrong with it because they say there's not shirk, because they are using Quranic verses. So what is the guidance in the Quran and Sunnah? Jazakallah khair.
What we say is that if there were benefit in it, the Prophet ﷺ would have been the first to tell us to do it. Because if you claim that you have something that works, protects us from evil, spiritual cure, and you have it and Prophet ﷺ didn't have it, what is that saying? you know more than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's totally unacceptable. And if you say, well, he knew it, but he didn't teach us, what is that saying? That the Prophet ﷺ hid knowledge? When Allah said, whoever hides knowledge is cursed. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever hides knowledge will have a mask of fire on his head on the day of judgment. Not possible. So this claim that these amulets are okay because there's some Quran in it. And as you said, it's not just Quran, you've got numbers. Right? There are other things there. Maybe there are little, what looks like X's and O's, you know, the squares and lines and stuff. All that kind of stuff written in there. And we say, what about all these other things? Okay, that was Quran, but what about the other things? They say it's Naqsh Dawood. Naqsh Dawood. Oh, where did you get that from? Oh, Maulana. Problem. That's a problem. This is Maulana's business, right? When you need a potion, you need a protector or whatever, you go to Maulana, he makes it up for you, wear it around your neck, put it on your arm, put it in your business. This is business. This is not from Islam. Were it from Islam, the Prophet ﷺ would have been the first. The Sahaba would have followed him. And we have no record of the Prophet ﷺ doing that, nor of the Sahaba teaching it. So we have to say it's false. Just from that perspective alone. Without the debate of what you have written and what it means and how you've done it, and that's enough for us to avoid it. Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, ما تركت شيئا يقربكم إلى الله إلا وأمرتكم به. I have left nothing which will bring you closer to Allah without telling you to do it. That's what his job was. His job was to show us, to teach us whatever will bring us closer to Allah. That would make Allah pleased with us more and more. Because that's ibadah, isn't it? What is ibadah but doing what is pleasing to Allah? Doing what will bring us closer to Allah. Question?
Each Malaysia one of them. Can we blame the leaders? Are they all from the source of corruption and the country in a different?
Okay, two questions, or a question and a comment. Was Malaysia among the top 10?
Yes.
Yes. The other question, can we blame our leaders because they're the ones that... no. Because as they say, you get the leaders you deserve. You produce your own leaders. So we can't blame them any more than we need to blame ourselves. Further question? Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Maybe the question is not related to the topic, but just simple, because this is a problem always we face in Malaysia. It's regarding about the four imams. Okay, they are mostly, some of them, they become more fanatic with the imams, but the imam never didn't do that. So they become until sect, become a group. Then because of the four imams, they become an enemy, and even in the prayers, they are separate to the two groups. Especially when they
So what's the question?
So what your comment about this, Sheikh? So is it we have to exactly...
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Got it.
Thank you.
The question I ask when people talk about the four imams, the madhabs, following a madhab, the question I ask is, what was the madhab of Abu Bakr? If we're going to follow a madhab, should we not follow the madhab of the best of the ummah after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a guarantee of paradise, said he would be among the people of paradise. So that's the one I want to know about. What was the madhab of Abu Bakr? Because if we were going to follow one, you say you've got to follow one, then that's the one that's best to follow. That's the point. His madhab was the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Simple. What was the madhab of Umar? The madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Uthman and Ali, that's what they did. And Abu Hanifa, what was the madhab of Abu Hanifa? People, oh, it's a Hanafi madhab. No. You haven't understood what a madhab is. If you think that the Hanafi madhab is the madhab of Abu Hanifa, you have not understood what a madhab is. Abu Hanifa wasn't a Hanafi. Abu Hanifa was not a Hanafi. Imam Shafi'i was not a Shafi'i. That's reality. So what were they? Both of them said, إِذَا صَحَّ الْحَدِيث فَهُوَ مَذْهَبِي. If the hadith is correct, then that is my madhab. So what is the hadith and madhab? The hadith represents the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the reality. So all the great scholars strove to follow that madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in the passage of time, people created these schools. Abu Hanifa wasn't creating a school, he had students. People gathered around him and they studied with him. And they left him and went to study with other people. And people came from others to study with him. That's how it was. People were just seeking knowledge. He was trying to follow the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as best he could, and he taught people that madhab. And that's what the people learned from him, his great students, etc. So this is what is required of us as Muslims. When we say, وَنَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, and we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah, that is our declaration that our madhab is the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Question from the sisters? Are you a sister? Where's your hijab, brother? Sister, please, put on your hijab.
What is your view of going to Islam and traditional? I mean, every tradition is a shirk.
Is what?
Traditionally,
Yeah.
following the things.
Is every tradition
Is a shirk.
shirk? No, I never said that.
What is your opinion on that?
No. I mean, when you drink with your left hand, that's not shirk. When you wear the tali, that is shirk. So we have to know the difference between wrong, meaning every shirk is wrong, but not every wrong is shirk. Okay? So even in customs, not every custom is wrong and shirk. Not every custom. There's some customs which are acceptable Islamically. If they don't go against Islamic teachings, then they're okay. They're customary things that we do based on the part of the world we came from, the traditions that we have in that area, whatever, that are okay Islamically, as long as they don't go against the teachings of Islam, they're okay. Islam is flexible. It doesn't mean everybody has to look like they came off a production line. Everybody walks the same way, we talk the same way. No, this is not what Islam requires of us. Right? We have individual personalities. We can express it by the way we dress, how we talk, how we eat, and all of this is part of the diversity of the world that Allah has created. Question?
Yes, doctor. The tali is actually an identity.
No, tali is shirk. Tali is shirk. Now you know it's shirk. Whether it is identity or not, it's identity for Hindus, as I said. It is a Hindu amulet. A Hindu amulet to ward off evil.
But different customs, they wear differently.
It doesn't matter. It's still a tali. And the tali is shirk. So whether you wear it around your neck, or you wear it around your arm, or you design it this way or that way or another way, you put it on your wall, you put it, whatever, it's still shirk. As long as you believe in it, something that should be done, when you get married you should wear it, and what is behind it is protecting you from evil, no, it is shirk. That's the bottom line. You need to stop it. You know, all of you here, let's make a commitment right now. Raise your hands with me. Raise your hands with me and repeat after me. Wallahi, I will not use.
1 minute, sir. Yes, I think the ladies you also speak about tali, you see. Sir, just give me 1 minute, sir. Before what explanation, sir? Because before you go further.
There's no explanation.
No, sir, you just give 1 minute. So you come from a different tradition. Okay?
What?
You come from a different tradition.
I told you, I have 6 half Indian children.
Very good.
My daughter-in-law is Indian.
Sir,
I have been to more places in India than you have been to.
Sir, the tali that you have found, the explanation is just from the dictionary. The dictionary that you have read says that it is the Hindu tradition. The tali that the ladies are wearing today is an identity to say that these women are married. You see, the ladies are...
Okay, I've heard what you said,
that's
brother.
the thing. That's only different.
Okay, I heard what you said. I heard...
As what my brother says, is an identity to say that the woman is they are married.
Okay, I heard what you said.
It is not...
I heard... Okay, brother, please.
No.
You've made your point. You've made your point.
It's not an evil. It's not an evil.
Brother, you have made your point. Okay? You had... besides, the fact that you broke in a disrespectful way, besides that, leave that aside, the fact of the matter is still, when I gave you that Indian definition, this is a definition which was written by Indians. And you can go and look in all of the dictionaries there on what a tali is. You can go and look at it. But reality is what? What were your foreparents? Your foreparents were Hindus. Your foreparents were Hindus. So they were Hindus wearing the tali before you became Muslim. So the fact of the matter is that in their tradition, in Hindu tradition, that's what it means. When you came into Islam, you brought that tradition with you. You didn't let it go. Okay? So now you have inherited it till today. So in your mind, you may not be thinking this is going to protect from evil. You may not be thinking that. But that is its origin. It's just the same thing like a cross of a Christian. What if your foreparents were Christians and they wore crosses and they believe the cross is symbolic of this, that, and the other, and protects them, and so on, so on. So you say, no, I'm wearing a cross here now. I'm a Muslim, but I'm wearing a cross. And I don't mean anything by this cross. It's just identity. No, not acceptable. That is unacceptable. Whenever the origin of a practice and a tradition involves shirk or or any practice or belief going against the teachings of Islam, then it is not acceptable for a Muslim to maintain it. That is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. So as I said, I ask you, those of you that wish to make this commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to leave the tali, no longer engage in it, encourage your family members not to do it anymore, and to remove it from your tradition. Those of you that are ready to do it, please raise your hands. Enough now, brother, inshallah. Just finish it off here now, okay? Say, Wallahi, I swear to Allah that I will not have my family members, female family members, wear the tali. Oh, too much, okay. I swear to Allah that I will not allow my female family members to wear the tali, nor will I allow my male family members to put the tali around any female. Inshallah. Okay.
Okay, doctor.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Since you have taken this vow, I would like to know what's the alternative.
What's the alternative?
Signify that the bride is married.
Okay, look at it this way. You know what? Let me tell you something. In Christianity, the practice to indicate that somebody was married was for the man to take the ring. Priest would take the ring from the man and put it by the thumb of the woman and say, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Holy Ghost, and the Son, name of the Holy Ghost, amen, and they would put the ring on this finger. So now you find people all over the world wearing this to indicate I'm married. And you ask me, what's the alternative? Wear it on your right hand. But it's not going to show you're married. Why Rasulullah ﷺ didn't have anything to show you're married? If having something to indicate that you are married is a good thing, an important thing, then would Prophet Muhammad ﷺ neglect it? No. Because they were already wearing rings from that time. 6th century, Christianity was already established. Wearing of the ring was already there. So that's what we have to look at. We're not obliged, okay? Hindus also have putting this dot on the head to show they're married too. So you're going to say, okay, can we wear the dot then? No, no, that's their tradition. So we don't have a need to show we are married, whether male or female, because we are respectful to our females. Because what was the whole idea about the marriage thing, ring was, or the tali? What was the real idea? Okay, if she's not married, then you can. No, you shouldn't be doing that for anybody, right? If we are respectful to our women, there is no need for them to have some symbol to let you know I'm married, so don't do it. It's enough. Enough. Inshallah.
Any other question? Yes. Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Thank you for your, doctor, for your concept of changes. The economic and political situations in the Islamic world compared to the non-Islamic world is compared to the, say, lower or worse. Worse, as I can understand most of the time.
The economic and political situations in the Muslim world is considered, as far as I've come to know in my readings, is worse than the non-Islamic countries. Now, referring to the concept of change as applicable to our Ummah, which is the country, Islamic country at the moment, which is an exemplary to follow or applying the change, necessary change presently? Is there any country, Islamic country?
Okay, question. Is there any Islamic country that is actively engaged in making a political and economic change based on the change of the society's members today? I can't identify one specifically. There are countries trying to make economic changes. There are countries trying to make political changes. But this most fundamental change, in my view, remains untouched. And where it needs to come from is from the leadership, but in particularly from the ministries of education. Because what has happened to our educational system is that it has been secularized. The West has secularized the whole educational process. So people are learning the various subjects and fields without morality. Because they secularized means they took religion out. But religion had the values of right and wrong. So now when you're teaching all of these subjects without the students understanding an issue of right and wrong, then you have people who are graduating without a moral compass. Whatever will get them their goals, they will do. So what we need to do, in my view, and it's one of the things that I campaign for, is bringing morality back into the classroom. So from grade 1, from kindergarten, every class should have a moral message being given. The students are receiving moral guidance. They're still being taught maths and science and all the other things, but in the course of teaching the various subjects, morality should be brought in. In that way, then you can graduate a class who will be morally firm, who you cannot corrupt, because they've been brainwashed, they've been exposed to morality from kindergarten to grade 12. Now you have somebody who can be a part of that change, who can really change the circumstance. That's what I feel. In the end, that's where we have to go, right into the classroom, because those students in college are the product of those schools.
Yes, question out there.
Sisters.
Yes.
No, please, give a sister a chance, please.
The woman allowed to go to prayer. Are women allowed to go to the graveyard in Islam?
Are women allowed to go
To graveyards.
to the graveyards? Yes, they are. What Prophet Muhammad ﷺ disallowed was the frequent visiting of the graves. That is going there all the time, because you have authentic narration from Aisha radiallahu anha when she was coming back from the graveyard in Medina, and one of the other companions asked her, "Where are you coming from?" She said, "The graveyard." "Aren't you not supposed to go to the graveyard?" She said, "Prophet Muhammad ﷺ forbade us in the beginning, then he told us we can go and visit because it reminds us of death. It softens our hearts." And that's the same for both men and women. So what he disallowed was the frequent visiting of the grave, because of the sensitive nature of the woman's makeup, her emotional makeup, where too much visiting can bring about a lot of anguish and, wailing and bad expression. Okay? The other sister, please. Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
You told us that we have to change. We are ready to change. Alhamdulillah, just now we are talking about the tali. I agree that we have to change. The next, I want to ask you, how about the dowry? Can you please explain to us, how about the dowry system that it's in...
The dowry?
Dowry, yes.
Yeah.
Our Indian Muslim...
Oh, I thought you all took care of that already. Hasn't that been corrected? It's still around?
It's still...
The women's family is still giving the dowry? You're still doing that? A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah.
Yes. So please touch on it, explain to us what should we do about this.
Okay, I spoke with some people from here and they told me that it was finished, done, they stopped it.
I'm sorry. Although in the Indian community, Indian Muslim community, the fathers and mothers, they are well educated, they know about agama, they go for Hajj, they do the 5 times prayers and everything. But when it comes to dowry, definitely they are taking it from the women, from the girl side. So please do tell us something about it. Thank you.
Well, it's not shirk. It's not shirk, but it is definitely against Islamic tradition, the Islamic way. It is not from the Sharia. If the girl's family wants to give something as a gift, that is for them. But for it to be demanded or it to be understood without them actually demanding, but it's understood you better pay, then this is evil. This is from shaitan, and this is actually from Hinduism. This is another practice from Hinduism, which we have inherited and carried along with us. And it is against the Islamic tradition, and perhaps we all need to make that commitment not to do that, not to collect dowries from the female sides of our children. Are we ready for that one? I don't see too many hands coming up now. See, all the men, they're still hedging. Come on, let's see it. Let's see those hands again. Wallahi, I will not collect the dowry from the female side. Our young men will give the dowry according to Quran and Sunnah. Wallahi, inshallah.
Hello. Yes, Doctor. I think it's high time that we finalize with one more question.
Okay.
Right.
Can we until 11? Is it too much?
Yeah, I'm okay.
That's okay.
I'm all right.
No, we keep until 11 o'clock. Okay?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sheikh, in your speech earlier, you had mentioned there is a feeling of increased awareness of Muslims, identity. Globally. So you being a globetrotter, what is the basis of you saying that? Is it, over historical aspect of Iran revolution way back in the late 70s? Has it transcended up to now, or do you see a new, or what is basically the basis of you saying that earlier, if you don't mind sharing it with us?
I believe that the increased awareness which is spreading in the Ummah is the increased access, a result of the increased access to knowledge. That people are becoming more and more aware, partly from the efforts of various Islamic movements, from Islamic individuals, from graduates from Islamic schools coming back in larger numbers, from the media, the access that we have through the internet. So all of this added opportunities for people to gain knowledge is being reflected in the current awakening. Inshallah. Wa alaikum salam.
I would like to know about your opinion on Freemasons. What is your opinion about them, and are they satanic culture? Are they following the satanic culture?
Okay. The issue of Freemasons and all of the various secret societies, you have the Rosicrucians, you have many, many others, right? All of these, Allah says in the Quran, La khayra fi kathirin min najwahum. The secret meetings contains very little good. They're evil. These secret societies, secret groups that plot and plan in the background, people don't know about it, etc. This, for the most part, is evil. So, the details of how the evil operates and what they do and all this, I don't need to go into. It's just enough to know it's a secret society. It benefits its members, otherwise there wouldn't be members. But for the rest of the society, they harm them. There's harm coming from them. People's rights are stolen, taken.
But there is a notion that these particular elite rules over the world. What is your opinion on that? Because as we are...
No, we don't need to go into speculation. I don't go into these speculatory views. It's enough. We know that what they stand for, even Western governments fight against them. Even in Italy, where a lot of this stuff was born, you find them speaking out against it, arresting people. And so the harm from secret society, whether it's there or whether there are other organizations in the midst of Muslims, you have some people who gather secretly and plot and they plan. Avoid them. Avoid them. Know that they are dangerous. If transparency is the expression of our shahada. When a person becomes Muslim, he or she is required to declare their faith openly. This is an expression of transparency. I have nothing to hide.
Okay, sir? Yeah.
Today's political challenge, one of it is the coalition with the non-Muslim political groups. So in your opinion, are we going to, as a Muslim, are we going to progress?
Collaboration with non-Muslim groups. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, before the coming of the Wahi, had collaborated with the mushriks of Mecca in what was known as Hilful Fudul. Hilful Fudul. And he said, were this to happen again after the prophethood, I would have joined them. So collaborating with non-Muslims for good is perfectly legitimate. For good. Just for political gain, that is not sufficient. If what they're calling for, what they stand for is evil, then we have to be away from it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I come back to the tali.
Haven't we had enough of the tali yet? See, brother, you went and opened up that box there. The point was clear. I think we need to leave the tali now, brother. No, really, brother. We need to leave the tali now. Save it for private discussion afterwards. Pass it on to other people who have something else besides the tali. Come on in the back there.
Because the tali is not,
brother,
as done by Muslims, Indian Muslims.
It's not done by Indian Muslims?
Yes. Completely different, because a tali is the word comes from Tamil. It's been given.
It means necklace. I know. I researched it. It means necklace. Tali means necklace.
No. When you go on a Tamil fiction, the tali is being given a different ideas. When we go to identity for the Hindus.
But Hindu practice,
yes, Hindu
that
practice.
When a woman is being married, the man puts that necklace around her neck.
But not Indian Muslims are doing that. Hundreds and hundreds of Muslims I've been looking at the marriage, they were not doing that.
What did they do with the tali?
No, they don't take tali. There is no tali. When the tali, it comes from a yellow. Yes.
Yellow thread, yeah, this is one version of it.
It's not a gold, it's not nothing.
But then they mentioned they mentioned gold also.
It is different word comes from that.
Brother, just give up the tali, man. You're a hardcore tali, man.
I understand that. I understand. But the Muslims don't wear that. Muslims, Indian Muslims don't wear that.
Shh. Brothers, sisters.
Can you explain to us about tawassul in Islam?
Tawassul, that's another lecture, brother. Let's deal with the shorter things.
Seeking protection from the grave is allowed in Islam?
Going to a grave like the dargah you have here in town? Is it acceptable Islamically to go there and call on the dead to help you? It's haram. It's shirk. It's shirk. Calling on the dead to help you, whether it is even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for you to pray to and ask Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to help you, that is shirk. He cannot help you. Inshallah.
So, Doctor, no, the reason, I mean, be fast. I think only strictly, yeah? Just question only. Wait.
Assalamualaikum, Doctor. My question is very simple. Does ISIS represent Muslims?
Pardon?
Does ISIS represent Muslims?
Does ISIS represent Muslims?
Yeah.
Well, they are Muslims. They are Muslims, but they don't represent Islam. They are Muslims. We're not going to say they're disbelievers. But as the Khawarij, in the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they broke away, declared Muslims to be disbelievers, and massacred, killed, slaughtered Muslims. The Sahaba didn't declare them to be disbelievers, but they were clearly deviated Muslims. Similarly, ISIS follows a similar trend. They have killed Muslims, they have labeled them as disbelievers, taken the blood of Muslims, and called for other, acts against non-Muslims who are living amongst the Muslims, which is not permissible for us to kill those who have lived amongst us peacefully over time, and we massacre them, kill them simply because they are not Muslims. The practices of ISIS in general. Now some things they may bring in Sharia, they may do certain things which are correct, but in general they have deviated. They are a deviated group, and they distort the image of Islam globally. And there is evidence to indicate that they were originally formed by the US secret services for other purposes. Then they took on a life of their own. Just like Boko Haram, like Abu Sayyaf. The same procedure. These were set up by Western agencies in order to distort the image of Islam and discredit certain elements of the Muslim society, particularly this new awareness which is described as being Salafi term, for example. So they will call these people Salafists. The ISIS are the Salafists. So that's what Salafi is going to take you to, or their Boko Haram, or their Abu Sayyaf. What about the Shias? The Shia. The Shia are a deviated group. They have deviated from mainstream Islam. They deviated a long time back.
Okay.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Just give me a bit of an explanation about blind following.
Blind following. Okay, blind following.
Is following without knowledge.
Blind following is following others without considering the right or the wrong. It doesn't matter to you, it's not important whether they're right or they're wrong. You follow them regardless. That is only due to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't believe he has shown us anything wrong in Islam, so therefore everything he has shown us is correct, and we follow him. We follow him blindly. Whether we understood it, we didn't understood it, he said do, we try to do. He said don't do, we try to avoid. Whereas any other human being doesn't have the right to be followed like that. Now, you may not have knowledge, and there's a local scholar who you learn from, so you depend on his judgments. But if evidence comes to the contrary, to show that what he has told you about something is incorrect, then you must follow what is correct. Because that's what Allah will hold you responsible for. What you knew to be correct. Inshallah.
Thank you. Doctor, I am really very much taken aback with your achievement of over the past 8 years, 250,000 students in your online university. Now, you also mentioned that to achieve progress or to be in that position, we have to have a position of the Sahabas being revisited. Now, throughout the Muslim world, or even the non-Muslim world, politically or economically, unity has been something among Muslims. It is being something that is really sought after. Everybody talks about it, but the unity among Muslims, in the real fact of the matter, is there's a lot of disunity. We disunite over the smallest differences, although we have a lot of things as common denominators. With this vast number of students you have within your online, and to achieve a generation of Sahabas revisited, how far do you think we are as Muslims to be in that stage? And why is there so much of disunity among the Muslims? Is there something that you, with this number of students that you have worldwide, see as a main cause of disunity? Is there something that we can do to be reunited as when Rasulullah started the preaching of Islam and we became united as Muslims? This is my question.
I think that the issue of Muslim unity is a critical issue, and that's why when I spoke about the problems facing Muslims today in terms of knowing Islam and coming back to Islam and all that, and that this Muslim League is an effort to try for Muslims to work for the benefit of the Ummah, and to do so together in an organized way, the group effort. We know that the Prophet ﷺ had said that Allah's hand is on the community. Yadullah al jama'ah. So working together, being together, this is the better way. This is what congregational salah in jama'ah, this is what Jum'ah represents. All of the elements of Islam calls to jama'ah, working together. Now, the factors of what splits us up, there are so many factors. I mean, to go and try to list it today, it would be here until next week. There are many, many, many factors. There's as many factors as there are people. There are personality issues, there's ignorance issues, there is pride issues. There's so many different reasons that lead to disunity and breaking the ranks of the Muslims. But in the end, though, I think the more that we get to know Islam and to practice it sincerely, we can overcome this. But if we don't know Islam, then we will never be able to overcome these divisions, because pride and all the other things are going to always get in the way. All of those other factors will become big factors and split our ranks. So my call is still that of know Islam. Know Islam, then you will know Allah, you will know what we need to do, and you will know how to answer the questions of the grave when you meet the angels of death. Simple as that.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. We reached the last question. So, Doctor, this is my last question. Now, I'd like to touch again, coming back, the mazhab.
Not the tally.
No.
Okay.
You have given me the tally after when we had the lunch just now. So it's regarding the mazhab. You see, there's a school of thought. Let's say I am school thought of Shafi, where I can't touch my wife when I wudu. So my wudu is gone. So when all of us like to follow what Rasul said, the followings of Rasul. But when come to these thoughts of schools, Mazhab, Hanafi, Shafi'i and all these things, so where do we stand? If I go to Makkah, when I have the wudu, so I have to have my niyat on Shafi'i, Hanafi, so that I can, even the other woman who touches me also, I still can perform.
Oh, to be Hanafi.
Yeah. So on this, I would like a doctor to clear on this matter, because a lot of people are confused on this.
Yeah, I've heard of this, and I've been told this, that in the Shafi'i communities, in many Shafi'i communities, that when the time for Hajj comes, the local scholars will tell them to make the intention to be Hanafis. You make Hajj as a Hanafi, and when you come back, you make sure you make your intention again back to Shafi'i, which is a set of nonsense. This is a set of nonsense right here. This is the ludicrousness of the madhab right now, as it exists now. Because reality is that we have two types of differences in Islam, Islamic law. Two types of differences. Contradictory differences and variational differences. Variational differences are when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did a variety of different things. In terms of takbir, he raised his hands to the level of the shoulders sometimes, and he raised his hands to the level of the ears sometimes. That's a variational difference. You can do one or do the other, right? When a madhab says, this one to the level of the shoulders is for women, Hanafi madhab is saying that now. This is for women, and this one's for men. We say, where did that come from? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't designate that. So they made this up. So they now create contradictional differences, when in fact they were variational. When you have, as you said, that the man, if he touches his wife, his wudu is broken. We have authentic hadith in Sahih Bukhari that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ kissed his wife and led salah. So when you have that other argument is meaningless. It's meaningless. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ kissed his wife and led salah. So a man touching a woman, his wife, or any woman, does not break wudu. That's fact. Her wudu is not broken, his wudu is not broken. That is the truth of the matter. The ruling that it is broken is incorrect. Because if you follow the reasoning of the madhab fanatics who say both are correct, all madhabs are correct in their rulings. If you are to accept that, then it means it is possible for you to have wudu and not have wudu at the same time. It's not possible. Either you have wudu or you don't have wudu. That's what it is. So those types of differences where we have one or the other, we need to find out what's correct, clear it out of the way, and move forward. But for example, in the Shafi'i school, when I remember making Hajj a few years back, and some brothers from India, from the Shafi'i area, were next to the camp where I was in, and we were making wudu, and I noticed the brother, take his cap and then was wetting his head and touching his head like this with the water. I said, brother, this is not masah. This is not masah. The masah of Rasulullah ﷺ was to take off his cap, wet his hand, and wipe his whole head. That is masah. Anything less than that is not masah. He said, oh, you're a Wahhabi. I heard about you. My Maulana, he told me, my Sheikh, he told me about you people. You hate Rasulullah. It's ignorance. So, again, this is a question of right and wrong. Where did this come from? That you can just touch the few hairs at the front of your head? This is a scholastic argument which existed hundreds of years ago, when some scholars were debating about what is the minimum for wudu to be valid? They said, well, in Arabic, when you wipe your head, you wipe your hair, the term used for hair is sha'r. So if you wipe one hair, that's called sha'ra. If you wipe 2 hairs, it's called sha'ratan. But if you wipe 3 hairs, it's now called sha'r. So the minimum you need to wipe is 3 hairs. This was a scholastic argument. This was not meant to be how you need to go and make wudu. You understand? So it ended up in the books, and then it ended up you all being taught, no, you just have to do that. Pat the front of your head 3 times. It's done. Just know that that's not masah. You were taught that, but it's wrong. Inshallah. Barakallahu fikum.